How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Supporters Club, people. We are back once a week, every week while the World Cup is going on. So hope you guys and girls out there are enjoying. Make sure you hit the like button first and foremost, people. And as always, let me introduce the guests I have on the show. The legend is back himself, Chris Hudson. You good, Chris?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Bit worried about a few things and we'll chat about that.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk. And a debut for Tosin. What are you saying, Tosin? All good?
All good, man. Thanks for having me on Turkish.
No worries, bro. First of many.
Yeah, hopefully.
Come on. And Chris kind of alluded to it already, you know. It's the news that we didn't want to hear this World Cup, and that's a big injury to a key player. We're not so sure how big it is. You know, originally it was deemed 3-4 weeks, and then a day after you hear 3-4 months maybe. So let's assume it's somewhere in between. All we do know for sure is that he'll be missing the first few fixtures coming back off the World Cup break. Big fixtures at that: West Ham, Brighton, Newcastle, all in. Tottenham not so long after that. Chris, you started off with, you know, you could be in a better mood. But what do you make of Jesus' injury and the impact it could have on us?
I'll tell you something. I don't think they're going to go out and buy a striker as such.
What makes you think that?
Just off everything I'm reading, they're sticking to their plan. They're going to go, they want a wide attacker, they want a midfield player, and I think they'll put a bit of faith in Eddie up front. Whether, I know that's, people may not agree with that, but you think you've got to be a little bit careful having a go at Eddie, because I was thinking towards the end of last season, he did lead the line quite well, you know.
Yeah,
so
he got him his contract and he got him the number 14
It's not jump on that. But there's other things like my alarm bells are ringing. Tomiyasu today.
Yeah,
I need to get away from football. I'm tired. I need a rest. Just see this World Cup, as I've been saying so often when I come on here, it's not just physical, it's mental.
Yeah. A few examples there, and I think let's start first and foremost with Jesus, and we'll touch on Eddie, we'll touch on Tomiyasu too, and the other players that are playing a part. Tosin, Jesus, massive player for us. If there was a player that I needed to come back fit, there's two players I'm looking at, and that's Gabriel Jesus and Thomas Partey. Now, Thomas Partey has come back now. You know, Ghana got eliminated in the group stages, unfortunately for him. He's back now. Yeah, I know you love. Tobes was loving it on the big six as well. But Jesus, you know, we've got one of our key men back, Thomas Partey. However, Jesus has picked up what seemed like a big injury. How are you feeling about it?
It's just typical that, like, every other non-Arsenal fan is slagging him off, saying, "Oh yeah, Arsenal's top striker, can't even start for Brazil, he's a bench man." And he plays the one game, and of course he gets injured.
Mad.
So that's a huge blow for Arsenal, like massive. I'm just gonna think worst case scenario that he's out for like 2-3 months. I think Arsenal got a plan. I was actually talking about this with a mate yesterday. It's the worst news we could have expected, but at the same time, I'm not too down or deflated about it. And
why is that?
Because I'm going to say something that's controversial. He's been massive for Arsenal, like absolutely massive for Arsenal. And he's going to be a huge loss in terms of the intensity, the way he presses. But that being said, look, Arsenal could have let Nketiah go in the summer. They rewarded him with what I hear is a bumper contract. Clearly, Arteta sees something in him. And I actually think Nketiah thrives under like, no one believes in me. I have to work hard. I need to grind. He showed last season, and it's not like he scored small. He scored small goals. He scored in big games last season.
Bridge being one of those, yeah.
And the controversial thing I'm going to say is Gabi Jesus is a much better player, much more influential for Arsenal. However, in the box, if we're talking pure clinical finishing, I would back Jesus to score probably 6 or 7 times out of 10. And Nketiah, I'm probably backing him to score 8 times out of 10. I think if we're talking finishing,
more a poacher.
Yeah, finishing, poacher, nose for goals, and Nketiah, natural poacher in the box.
You mentioned plan, and Chris Hudson's already mentioned it as well. January's around the corner. You know, it's a big January for us, as it is every year in January. This one, we're going into possibly top of the table, possibly second, a point off top in the worst case scenario. Do you think the plans should change? Chris has already mentioned, you know, we wanted a winger, a forward, you know, that can get goals from either side, or a midfielder coming in. Do you think now with the Jesus injury, those plans should change? Because there's an argument to be had that even with Eddie and Jesus fit, we needed another striker coming in January or next summer, but that seems to be pushed forward now considering the injury. Do you think plans should change around January?
No, I honestly don't think it should. I don't think it should. I think Arsenal, one thing that's working for them the past 1 to 2 years is even under heavy pressure, they stick to their guns. I think this is the make it or break it time. When Arsenal don't strike me as a club now the past 1 to 2 seasons that's just reactive and scared and fearful. Yes, Jesus is a massive blow. Not saying it's not, but I still think trust the process. What they've been doing, buy the wide player that we absolutely need, buy the central midfielder we absolutely need, and hey, back you could have let him go. You chose to give this guy a new contract. You got to back him now. You've got Arteta now. You've been saying Nketiah. He always talks about in positive terms about Nketiah. You've been talking. Okay, now you've got to show us you really, really back him. There's no way you're paying him that much money, and you're not trying to rate him in situations like this. So I actually think this could work out good for Arsenal. I honestly expect Nketiah to be hungry and get goals. To be honest, so I don't think the plan should change at all. I don't think Arsenal should be fearful or panic.
I think, I agree with that. Because what they might, it all depends what sort of wide player they bring in, isn't it? Because you could bring in a wide player who you could turn into a central striker. Like the boy at Shakhtar can play like that. Or you could play Martinelli in the middle.
Exactly.
And the Shakhtar boy on the left. I know I keep saying that.
Yeah.
That's who they're linked with.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, and then I see today, I know it's boring, I've seen Zaha mentioned again today.
Typical.
I don't know what people think about that.
Because at the end of the day, if you look at, Tottenham last January, they brought in a Kulusevski and he was a winger, but he brought the goals and assists necessary to get them over the line in the top 4 race. So you seem to agree with Tosin in the fact that let's stick to our plan.
I think Arsenal, it's what I'm reading, I don't think Arsenal deviate from their plan.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's, as you said, it's not the way they react these days.
So let me throw a curveball in there because it's a very real curveball because now with Jesus potentially worst case out 2-3 months, say something happens to Eddie and Nketiah, what do we do then?
Well, we're in trouble.
Yeah, then
that's why every World Cup game I'm sitting there sweating. I don't, like Saka. We need, any of the players. Say Martinelli got injured playing for Brazil. I know people are loving the World Cup.
More trouble than it's worth for you.
For me, it's like Christmas. It's not real. It's not. Your Arsenal's your bread and butter. That's what we sit here sweating about. It's your 364 day. It's on your brain. You buy a season. You emotionally, it's Arsenal, not England. I wouldn't be in the pub normally cheering on Harry Kane scoring a goal, would I? See what I mean? And it's, good old England. But your bread and butter, I don't give a monkeys about England winning the World Cup. I worry about Arsenal. I'm sorry, but I do.
Yeah, fair. Lee Judges says the same thing.
If we play West Ham, say England win the World Cup and we play West Ham and lose 2-0, and we haven't got Saka or Ramsdale playing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Tosin.
Sorry, could you say the question again?
I mean, if Eddie was to pick up something, it leaves us in a position where we're going to have to look in the youth ranks, the academy, to bring in someone. Or, like Chris said, Martinelli, maybe, in years gone by, we've suggested he could lead the line. I doubt that because, I like him running at players, picking the ball up outside the box. But I also like Jesus outside the box, picking up, running at players. But he is our number 9.
They might recall Balogun. They have got an option.
That is an option.
Yeah, that's an option. I was reading that yesterday because he's doing well in France.
He is.
Yeah, so he's doing well for France. He's got a few goals.
He's one of the highest scoring English strikers in European football at the moment. When I saw him in the list, I think he was 4th.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. So that is a shout.
So that's an option. And then of course this new winger coming in. But look, at the end of the day, Arsenal, I know the tide is saying panic and worry, but this is not the Arsenal of last season. You got to deep it. Emil Smith-Rowe, we relied on him heavily last season. Yeah. And he's a good player. He's being outshone a bit now. He's had niggling injury problems. He's a good player. He's still coming back to fitness. Fabio Vieira still needs time to settle in. He's obviously a good player. And those two can play anywhere across the front line, I think. And if you look at Arsenal prior to the World Cup break, not being funny, but Jesus was on a goal drought. The goals were being shared. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if I think Martinelli was to shift there. I think this Arsenal team, they're much more fluid, the goals are being shared around. So I still, worst case scenario, I don't see it, but worst case scenario, Nketiah again injured, I still wouldn't be that worried. Okay, cool. Martinelli, he's not really going to play. He's honestly not going to play that many minutes for Brazil, so he should be fresh.
Yeah.
Probably some jet lag, he'll be fine. Saka, I'm probably a bit worried about because he's going to be playing a lot of games. But then you can bring in a Vieira. Then you can bring in a Smith Rowe. Odegaard, he's not played. He's chilling.
He's chilling, yeah.
He's chilling, and he got 2 goals right before the international break.
He's the highest scorer in the league.
Exactly. He'll be backing himself to be fresh, raring to go.
He's cheering me up.
No baggage. So I think, honestly, it's not really panic stations for Arsenal. Yes, Jesus is a huge loss. That could happen, but I think the depth that we're building in the team can actually carry us through, to be honest.
You know what? When you mentioned Emil Smith Rowe, I remember something from last season when we sold Oba in January and Laka wasn't firing. I remember Arteta turned around in one of his pressers and he said, "Listen, Emil Smith Rowe can play false 9." I know I was looking at it thinking maybe Martinelli would be the option there, but he seemed to say Emil Smith Rowe can do it. I remember. Did he play him in the semi-final against Villarreal as a false 9, or was it?
I can't remember but I do remember Arteta saying that. And he's got the ability to play that position.
He's an intelligent player.
Isn't he?
Yeah, he gets goals, and if he can replicate that, anywhere near the 10 goals he scored last season off the bench, then we should be in somewhat a good position. Balogun, I'm hoping that there is an option to call him back, because I think push has come to shove now. If it is 3 months out for Jesus, then it's not about waiting for the worst case scenario with Eddie and hoping that he doesn't get injured. It's about protecting as well. Yeah. Because Eddie then would have to play 90 minutes week in, week out in the league, FA Cup, and if the rumours are to be believed and it is 3 months, then in the first stages of the Europa League knockouts, which start in February, I believe, or early March for us. So I think maybe protect us and bring Balogun back and then, give him some game time. I mean, it wasn't not so long ago we was clamouring for his contract, and as fans we wanted to see more of him. He's hit the ground running in France. So, you said he's cheering you up, and I can see it. Emil Smith Rowe comes back firing, positive. Fabio Vieira comes back a lot more acclimatised to the team and England and London. We're better off. Balogun potentially comes back, hits the ground running, more competition in that position. So, I guess we look at the positives. You mentioned before we went on stream, Chris, that Partey and Matt Turner have had a week off following their exits.
Granted a week's holiday.
So what happens then if England or Brazil or reach a final? So
we won't be seeing those players possibly till after the 2 Christmas fixtures. So they'll be West Ham, Brighton. So the earliest you might see them as Newcastle.
Does that worry you, Tosin, or do you think it's the right approach to be given the break, considering how important this season is for us?
Yeah, it is, man. It's important, but they need a break. Like the amount of the players that are getting, the amount of mileage that these players are doing every game. I actually think it would hurt Arsenal in the long run if we just threw him back in. Just give him a break.
Would you look at it in isolation? Like, would you say, okay, Saka's playing the majority of games, so he deserves a break, but Martinelli, if Brazil get to the final, maybe not so much deserving of a week's break?
Definitely. I mean, okay, Martinelli, you're a bench man. Like, you ain't really been playing that many minutes, bro. Come straight back in. Come straight back in. Saka, okay, cool. Get a rest. I'd like to see England make it to the final. To be honest, I think they can. So yeah, that's what I'll do.
Ramsdale he can go straight back in.
Yeah, he can go straight back in.
Has to.
Saliba, I suppose he could go straight back in.
Yeah, he's not playing.
Yeah, true, another one.
Xhaka will be leaving. I expect Xhaka to be done by today anyway.
Yeah, so this is recorded before the last couple of
I'll be shocked.
16 fixtures.
I will be shocked if Switzerland go through, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's another one that's playing a lot of minutes. Again, Chris, you mentioned not only before the stream, but when the stream started, Tomiyasu's comments about, Japan are now out and how he's feeling mentally about the situation. He wants to forget about football for a little while. And that's, I guess, the other side of the coin to a World Cup. It's all good and well thinking the best and thinking, Saka, we look at him, 3 goals, he's enjoying himself, and let's see what happens with England moving forward. But we've also seen Saka last year off the back of the Euros where everything seemed to be going well and a penalty miss in the final and it's all...
He got slaughtered. He was Tomiyasu was very harsh on his display yesterday. He says, I wasn't good enough. And I was watching him, he didn't look fit.
He hasn't been fit.
He wasn't making and he got done a few times, which is very unlike him.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, with Tomiyasu, he's never fit, is he?
So is there something to worry about then with Tomiyasu's comments? And then obviously Ben White, we don't know what's going on with the situation, but we wish Ben White all the best, whatever he's going through. But that's our right back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our backup right back at this moment in time, potentially.
Cedric's there.
Oh yeah, I forgot we had a third.
He needs to get sold.
So is it a worry that both our right backs are in, I guess, situations that
Limbo.
mentally they're...
Yeah, that is a slight worry. I mean, I'm not going to read too much into his comments. I saw it as well, but it's to be expected. You know, Japan have upset the odds, and whether people would like to admit or not, yesterday was a massive opportunity for them to actually go through. Because I don't think Croatia were better than them.
No, nor do I.
Croatia were not better than them. This is a weakened Croatia. So Tomiyasu probably knows that, and he's thinking, "Dang, this could have been. We could have made history." But so dejection is normal. But honestly, man, like maybe it's just something in the air. But like this Arsenal team, specifically Arteta, them like. I have a lot more faith in them. They're like mentality monsters. So I anticipate that Tomiyasu may feel that way now, but when he's around a guy like Arteta and around the team, that stuff is going to get battered out of him. I think it's going to get preached out of him. I think it's going to get, I think confidence, assurance, like, look, switch on. And plus, we're 5 points clear. Tomiyasu may be down and dejected, but look, mate, you have an opportunity to still create history with Arsenal.
Massive.
So I do not expect him to be like, oh no, Japan.
The thing is, we weren't really the only club of players who've sort of been a bit down in the dumps. I was thinking West Ham, Rice and Paqueta won't be ready for the game, will they? That'd be,
Exactly.
Brighton, Trossard, and they got the Ecuador player, and they. So
McAllister as well.
I suppose every club's the same.
Kevin De Bruyne hasn't had a great tournament. He's already home,
awful.
but mentally, let's see how he's.
Yeah, but Haaland's had his feet out for 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Chilling.
That's true.
That's true. But yeah, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think they'll be fine. This team they're mentality monsters. Like Saka, look at what he went through last summer.
Yeah.
Comes back this season. He's only De Bruyne is on top of him for assists in the league.
Crazy.
Like the mindset of these guys is different this season. So I really back it. I back the culture. I back once he gets into that Arsenal environment, I highly doubt his spirits are still going to be low. I really doubt it.
Yeah, hopefully they come back and they know there's something that they can achieve, that it might not be a World Cup for their country, which would be a very proud moment. And obviously playing for your country is a proud moment in itself. It's a privilege, and to get past the knockout stage. I can understand Tomiyasu's feeling, but you've only got to look at Saka and how he turned it around after the back of the Euros and hit the ground running and focused. Again, Chris, you mentioned that how many players will be up for the West Ham and Brighton game, having been at the World Cup with their countries, in the atmosphere, with that aura around them, to then come back, sunny old London in the Christmas period and, hit the ground running. Again, mentally, they're going to have to be very much prepared and focused on the job at hand.
I think Arsenal are sort of prepared for all this. The professional outfit, they must have sat down and thinking, right, when these players come back, what have we got to do to get them
ready?
Forget international mode, club mode.
Whether it's a break, whether it's straight back in and focus, I guess individuals' cases are different.
So I see it with interest. I know Arteta's in a WhatsApp group with other coaches in different sports around the world.
Oh yeah.
So perhaps he's tapped into that.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? Because I was thinking rugby, they lose players every year, don't they, Clark? I know they go off with the British Lions and they come back and they got to hit the ground running. So, perhaps he's tapped into that. I don't know.
Maybe. And listen, Arteta has, shown himself to be a very good coach, to say the least. So hopefully he has got a plan under his sleeve. On Arteta, I don't know if you guys have saw it, but Cecil randomly bumped into not only Mikel Arteta, but Josh Kroenke, Stan Kroenke, Edu, and Tim Lewis. Pretty much the Arsenal hierarchy, the decision makers at the club. They was in LA, I believe it was. Cecil in a restaurant bumped into them, took a picture that's gone viral on Twitter and Instagram and whatnot. But I want to ask you guys, Tosin, let's start with you. What do you think they're meeting about?
Definitely strategy for the rest of the season. Must be.
Rest of this January in mind, or?
Yeah, including January.
Yeah.
So that strategy for who we're going to buy, maybe like also contracts as well, how much we're going to be, what salaries. And yeah, just basically mindset from now till the end of the season. I can't imagine it'll be anything but that.
Yeah.
And and I think the club are actually they're going for the title. I think you have to. If you're 5 points clear, they better be meeting about, okay, cool guys, we're 5 points clear. How do we maximize this and really take it home?
Yeah.
You know? So I imagine that's what they're meeting about.
Pictures one thing, Chris, because there was pictures of Mikel with Josh and Stan, I believe last January too, in the early days of the window, and a lot of people assumed that it was to discuss January and incomings. Obviously, the All or Nothing documentary gave a little insight into January, where there wasn't much talk about incomings. It was all about Abba. So what do we take from the picture, Chris? But what would you want them to be discussing there? Is it January? Is it the Jesus injury and maybe
I want them to be
reshaping
discussing. We're 5 points clear, and we've got a massive opportunity to do something big. Let's go for it.
Yep.
That's what I'll be wanting them. I hope, and I should think that's been fair. I think that's what they could be discussing.
Yeah. Do you trust them to be?
Yeah, but I suppose they've only looking at the accounts that have come out.
That's what I was going to move on to next.
Yeah.
FFP's coming back. That infamous 3 letters is coming back.
Arsenal have to sort of work their way around that. I think there'll be money available, Turkish, but it'll be interesting how much money is available.
What's the priority in January then? Let's wrap it up with that. Is the priority to bring in players, or is the priority now to secure Saka, Martinelli and Saliba's contracts?
You've done me there, Turkish, to secure the contracts.
Would that be the priority for you?
For me. There's a bit, I know it's a gamble, you can't lose them.
No.
It's true.
I'll tell you, think how much money you're talking about if you lost them.
Especially with a year left.
And Saka, he is the face, he is the modern face of Arsenal.
Yeah.
Pale end, he's a lovely way he's brought up, lovely manners, he's amazing talent. You can't lose someone
Humble,
like
respectable.
that. Yeah, he's what. No.
So help me understand. So what? Because I saw what we posted 45 million loss, right?
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
and obviously FFP is coming back. So are we in a scenario where we can't do both?
Well, I think that, listen, I'm someone that's looked at the numbers for a little while now, and I still can't really work out and make sense of it all. I know there's a threshold of, I believe it's 10%. You can make 10% loss. Let me not misquote it, but there is a threshold there that you can make a loss and still be under the FFP guidelines. In the summer, there was questions towards the end about, not questions, there was something coming out that UEFA have put Arsenal on the watch list. We don't know what that means, and much was made of that without people really knowing. So maybe it is a reality. When you look at the amount of money we've spent, no European football last year, a couple 8th place finishes, a 5th place one last year. We haven't got that Champions League lottery. So it's a very real reality that it could have an effect on us.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for once the football gods can now actually look favourable, because for years when we actually were complying, nothing was happening to the teams. Nothing was happening to the teams that weren't complying. So for the one time where we're probably maybe stretching ourselves thin, that we get scrutinised, that would be a joke.
Would the priority be the contracts for you?
Yeah, man.
Or is it a juggle? Because
it's tough, man, because like this title, it's such a real possibility. Arsenal can win it. So for me, if the title's there to be won, we got to do whatever it takes to win. But at the same time, but my understanding was basically, probably it's only Martinelli that's out. But my understanding is that like Saliba and Saka, they're essentially done. So it's just working out a few little things here and there. But if all 3 of them want to stay, I think actually not buy someone, man, because they want to stay.
It's a tough one,
They want to buy because the thing is, Arsenal are it's weird, but like we've not won. Our last trophy was the FA Cup, but Arteta's creating like a winning mentality in the team. He's bought Jesus, a winner. He's bought Zinchenko, a winner, right? And if this team win the league, why would they want to split? It would be like Chicago Bulls with Jordan and Pippen and Rodman. Like, why would you want to break up a good thing? It's only going to get better. So I actually think go for it, man. Like, because we need those players. I believe if we get those players, this will give us the push we need, like sort of Spurs had last season, this push we need to actually win the league title. So I'll go for the signings. And I'll back that these guys are going to want to stay.
Well, do you spend there and not in the summer?
Tough one. I think Tosin used the right word, panic. I don't want to see this club panic, because panic has brought us duds in the past that we failed to get rid of, up until last year, even we had a few of those. So it's not about panicking, but at the same time, I think even before Jesus' injury, we was talking about another striker potentially coming in. So has that really changed the shape of it? It might force our hand into doing something, but really I think a striker should have been on the radar already. I don't know.
Striker or winger? You think striker?
I think another striker and another winger should be on the radar. Whether one's done in January and one was done in the summer.
Yeah.
I guess if you had Jesus fit after this World Cup, then you can push that need for a third choice striker to next summer. But now he's had this big injury. It's part of the conversation for January now. And I know what you guys mean. When I'm first asked about it, prioritise contracts or prioritise the signings, number one, it's much easier to say the contracts because we've already got a bond with Saka, a bond with Martinelli. We've already got a bond with Saliba, who's only just come in this season but hit the ground running. But at the same time, we know that we need signings. And I think I take it back to the conversation we had last week, Chris, and raising our standards. I guess it's not a case of contracts or signings. It's a case of contracts and signings.
Yeah.
If we're looking to raise our standards and, you know, they're at the top of the list next to each other more so than 1 and 2.
But perhaps why, if I was sitting in the Arsenal boardroom, I'd say let's go for it now. But I should think, and in the summer, possibly Paisley may not have to.
And the thing about the Kroenkes is recently they've been winning with their other sports franchises,
Yeah,
and I guess being 5 points clear at the top of the table heading into January, they've never. Stop me if I'm wrong, Chris, and Tosin as well. Have they ever been in this good a position in January since we've moved into the Emirates?
No, never.
I don't think they've been in this position since they took over.
Never.
Yeah.
We've got to think about that. How about the season we come second to Leicester?
I think we were.
But the Kroenke,
I remember there was a
they
lot
didn't
of
earn a
uproar.
majority then.
No, but I remember Stan getting a lot of stick because he didn't push the boat out in January. That's the only time I can think that year Leicester won the league.
Yeah, that's the only. That's the one I
That's
got
the
in my
nearest
mind.
we've been, I think.
Yeah.
You mentioned he wasn't majority owner. Do you?
No.
Yeah, because obviously, I don't know, I'm not sure how much I believe him, but he was saying, either him or his son was saying, like, look, the reason why they weren't able to push the boat out in these situations were because they didn't have as much control of the club as they wanted to, but now they do. Things are going to be different. So,
I'm glad you said, you know, I don't know whether it's to be believed, because that's what I was going to ask you. Do you believe that? Because it seemed like a very easy way for them to kind of forget about all of those years.
Yeah.
Let's focus on these years. And financially, if you look at it, 100%. I've had that argument a lot. Look at, since they've taken full ownership, how much we've spent. Hands up, I agree. They've pushed the bar out a bit more. But since they've taken full ownership, we finished 8th and 5th. Yes, this season has broken that. It's breaking that mold. We're first on, you know, and I'm still confident we'll get top 4, even with a Jesus injury and maybe a lack of signing in January. But I think it was just an easy way for him to forget that and now move forward. But this January is crunch time in terms of if we do forget pre-2018 and their ownership not being majority, and we look at their ownership since, this is by far the best position we've been in.
Facts.
In a season, moving into a new calendar year. So is it over to you, Kroenke, now?
Yeah, show us. Show it now, lay the gauntlet down. Show us your ambition. Show us you really believe this team can do great things. I'll see that by his actions. So
I think Josh is more into it than what Stan is.
Yeah,
he
you can
is.
see that,
He is. It's basically his club, Josh.
Yeah, so I'm hoping he's saying, "Come on, Dad, it's one final push."
One final push so you can see us win the league again this season, and then
think of the money that will bring in.
True.
Champions League. It's a big if we win the title,
Yeah.
but it's all ding, 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 isn't it?
True. And I mean, you can look at Man United and Liverpool at this moment in time, and their ownership issues and potentially changing.
That's a worry about it, because if they get bought out by people rumours to be buying them out, it's another reason we've got to secure these players on contracts, so they'll come sniffing.
Yeah. I
You know what I
mean,
mean?
if there wasn't already, I mean, in terms of Bukayo Saka or even a Martinelli who off the bench from Brazil has, shown bits and bobs. I mean,
He's better. I'll tell you what, I'm glad we did buy Rafinha, Turkish.
Yeah.
He don't do it for me at all.
Did you just say he's better than Rafinha?
Martinelli's better.
No way.
Don't even laugh at it. Well, matter of opinion, I think he is. I'm not being that.
He's great,
Rafinha.
but come on.
What about Saka or Rafinha?
That's tough.
But would you have brought Rafinha in to take minutes away from Saka, or did you like the?
I still like the Rafinha signing to push Saka. I think they're incredible talents, Martinelli and Saka, but they do need someone who's good that can push them to be even better. Gakpo would be good, yeah. He's more striker. Yeah, I'll
think-
take him,
yeah,
actually.
he can play wide,
Winger, striker,
PSV.
I'll take him.
And he's got the physique to go up front too.
I'll
and be
take him.
physical.
Yeah,
But
there's a
my
player.
understanding is it looks like United are probably
And it looks like we're going for Mudryk, it
Yeah.
seems.
Mudryk, I'll take him.
Yeah, 100%.
I like what I've seen.
100%.
Young, he fits exactly the profile. People are saying, oh yeah, like, this is not the type of guy Arsenal need to be signing. It's exactly the type of guy we need to be
And he
signing.
looks eager to come. He's mentioned
Yeah.
us a few
I've
times.
never seen a player push himself towards a club like he is.
Nah.
He
It's
looks a good.
amazing.
Yeah.
He done an interview with Sinchenko's wife. Have you seen that?
Yeah, no, I have mentioned the Gunners
He's
in there.
basically begging.
Yeah, and there's one thing that he said recently where he said, listen, would I rather go on the bench at Real or go
yeah,
and
I
fight
read
for my
that,
spot at Arsenal? I'd rather fight for my spot. All I need is the coach to tell me I've got a chance. It's not about me coming in to start.
Oh, I think
It's
you
me
get a
coming in
chance.
to get a chance to prove myself in the start. And that's the right mentality you need.
Facts.
You can't just come in and come straight in. And I think the Athletic said over the last few days that Arteta's looking for players that can come and make an impact into the first team straight away. And that's exactly what we need to be going for now. Our youth core is there. It's very much a firm part of the success so far this season in terms of being first come, the new calendar year. But I think it's right in terms of getting a player or two that have an immediate impact into this side. But not only immediate, but long-term too. It's a balance between that age and experience that we have to find. We've done it with Jesus and Zinchenko, in my opinion. Two winners, but are yet to reach their prime in terms of age. It's still mid-20s. So we'll see how it goes on. Listen, we're going to wrap it up here. Chris, as always, man, love for coming on. Tosin, great debut, man. Love
Cheers,
for coming
man.
on. We'll get you on
Appreciate
again
that.
soon
Yep.
and get you onto more content. People, hope you guys have enjoyed another supporters club. I've changed up the format a bit. Usually it's 3 guests, but I think when you have 2 guests, you get a lot more out of the conversation. And plus, I got Forever Arsenal too. So if you want to see me host a show with 3 other guests, tune into Forever Arsenal. I'm recording that soon, so that should be out.
Nice.
After this one, in the next 24 hours, look out for that. But whilst you're here, hit the like button, first and foremost, people. Show some love to the video and leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Love for the love people as always, and we'll be back real soon. Peace.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.